Hey, welcome back everyone. I get this question so often and it's about the Marshall DSLs, how to dial in certain tones, how do I make it sound like Metallica, how do I just get all these different tones out of it. So for today's recording, I've got my stomp effects on the floor that we'll run through later, and I'm recording it with an SM57 through the Mezza 112 cabinet in the corner. It's further away from the Marshall, so it won't pick up the string noise. And it's a sweet sounding little cabinet that's easy to mic up, and I don't get deafened in the process. So everything there is set to 12 o'clock except for the reverb I've got turned off. Gain as well on the red channel. This is what you get. I think it's a pretty solid metal tone on its own. It's not the sweetest tone the Marshall gets, but it's definitely not bad. And as you turn it up, it gets a little bit better. So it is an amp that does sound better as you turn it up. This is pretty much how I use the amp if I'm just jamming on my own or just in here and I can't be bothered using the effects and I just want to plug straight into the amp. Let's just try and scoop this. That's actually pretty cool. I'm going to roll the mids all the way down to nothing. We'll just see how that goes. I'm not pushing the trebles too high in this because I think it gets too fizzy when you scoop the mids with Marshalls. You can push trebles on boogies and things, but the Marshalls tend to get fizzy. So I'll just leave the treble as it is and we'll see how this is. This is almost a video that I'd rather sit in with a live chat with you guys so you could suggest some settings that you want me to try out and just see how things sound. But sometimes it's cool just to experiment with different tones. But this is about as extreme as we'll take it today. Let's try the tone shift as well. I don't like the tone shift. Okay, right now I've just turned everything up, all the EQ up to max. Just trying to redo a Dave Mustaine when he did the Rust in Peace solo. So we'll just see how that sounds. When he did that, it was with a JCM 800. So they're pretty different, but let's just see what we get. This is totally extreme. All the EQs on maximum. I don't really like that. Make it a bit more usable. Right, so this is probably my favourite setting with the DSL on its own, just using the amp's built-in distortion. Right, so let's look at, we'll stay with the red channel for a little bit more, and we'll just add a bit of the 6-band EQ to it. So you can see the settings right now, the 6-band EQ. It just adds a little bit of gain to the whole tone, gives it a bit more machine gun. Exactly the same settings as we had. This is with the 6-band EQ off. Just turning it on. It means you can turn your gain down on the amp, and right now I've rolled the gain back to about 11 o'clock, 10:30, 11 o'clock. Just staying on the red channel there with all the controls, all the EQ centered again back at 12 o'clock. The gain's back on 12 o'clock. We're just going to kick in an overdrive pedal on top of that, but on the overdrive, as you can see in the photo here, the output is on full, but the gain is rolled right back to nothing. So hopefully it just adds the tone of the overdrive pedal to this mix, and doesn't saturate it anymore. It should just tighten things up and make it a little bit more mid-focused. This is with the gain, this is with the the overdrive off. Turning it on. So that adds a bit of a different dynamic to that tone, I think. But okay, so this is how I used to use the DSL a lot, and I really liked it. You just run the green channel, which is meant to simulate a JCM 800, but it doesn't. It's got its own characteristics. But if you push the gain up on the green channel to around the 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, the gain on this actually is a density as well. So if you roll the gain all the way up to 10, I find it makes the amp a bit too muddy in the bottom end, but we'll do that anyway. And I run the OD in front of this. That's how I used the DSL 100 watt for years, exactly like this, using the Zakk Wylde pedal on the same channel, and it sounded a little bit crunchier and a bit heavier than that, but I prefer the red channel as we were listening to it before and boosting that slightly. So when it comes time for a solo, this is pretty much how I'd dial it in, with those settings, the MXR, Wylde overdrive, boosting it up, and on the red channel here, so... So that's how I'd go about getting my solo tone with this. It's pretty full on, but so thanks guys. It's a great amp, good value for money. Hopefully you've learned something different about it that you didn't know before, but those few pedals I've used for years in conjunction with this and created some great tones. So please, any more questions, just ask. I'll do my best to answer them. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do, and give me a thumbs up if you liked it. So thank you. Cheers.